Hey there, gang. Welcome back to Papa's Model Workshop. I'm Papa. This is my workshop. So I was discussing how we were going to apply bare metal foil to small parts like a window crank on a door panel, for example. That was exactly what I did when I lost that video a little while ago. So we did the weathering video already, which you saw. So we're going to do the video where I can show you exactly how to apply bare metal foil to small parts like a window crank. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's go right back to the workshop. Let's get started on that, okay? Okay, gang, so we're back here in the workshop. We're at the paint bench right now. I like to do things at the paint bench, where I have to maybe lean over and really get involved with what I'm working on, simply because the paint bench just has a little bit more room for me to do that. I think I have everything laid out here that you need, and what I'm going to start off with is this. All right, these are visors, magnifying visors, okay? And this will bring what you're doing right up close and personal. These are lighted. That's very helpful, okay? And I also have the lighting right here. I don't know if that's not reaching it, but anyway, I think you've seen the lights here. If you saw the shop tour, then you saw the lights that I have here. And these lights, they're bendable. I can bring it right down close on top of what I'm working on. Again, the visibility is an important factor when you're working on something very small. And let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the door panel that I did in the video that was deleted, okay? And you can see right here, this is the window crank that I did the bare metal foil on, okay, over here too. All right, so this is a very small area. I don't know if the camera is just not focusing in on that. Maybe it has to do with the lighting over here. I don't know. Yeah, when you're working on something very small like that, you want to be able to have the best visibility that you can have, and that has to do with a magnifying visor or magnifying glasses, whatever the case may be, and good lighting. Okay, so we of course have our bare metal foil. You can see this has gotten its uses. And what I like to do is I like to use a measuring caliper just like this. Okay, so to give you an example, excuse me, all right, like on the Del Rey here, all right, now I've mentioned in the past that you don't want to come in and try to do this entire side panel. What I did was I did this in sections. I did this front quarter panel, I did the door, and then back here you can see it goes around on a curve, all right? And I actually did this whole thing in 2 sections, okay? So I had to cut quite a number of strips of the bare metal foil. And what I did was I measured out exactly how much I needed, okay? And then from there, I took the measuring caliper, and I set it down right here. Let me see what I got here. Let me flip this around. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm putting this right on the edge right there, all right? Back that up so you can see it. And this is the other end. What I typically like to do is I like to cut a little bit further than what I need. So if this is how much I need, I'll cut back here. Can you see? All right. This gives me boo-boo room if I make a mistake. And also, when you are trying to peel this bare metal foil off the backing, sometimes it'll fight you. Okay. I like to use tweezers to lift up the bare metal foil. Okay. So what I'll do, and these things, okay, take a look at that. These things are pointy. So be careful with them. All right. in the first video that got dumped, I actually cut my pinky with this, so be careful with this. And obviously that goes without saying with your X-Acto blade, all right? And I'm going to go over this blade with you in just 1 second. Okay, so what I do is I will take the very corner of the bare metal foil, all right, and I will use this tweezers to plow it up. Can you see how I'm pushing that right up there? And then I will come in, I will pull it up, all right? But notice the area where I was plowing it. See that? It's all kind of crumpled up. But because I cut the piece longer than I actually needed, I'm not worried about that crumpled up area, okay? I'll just, I'll just trim that off. Okay, I'll come in with my X-Acto knife and I'll just trim that off, okay? So again, that's just what I do. Let's get back to these X-Acto blades for 1 second, okay? Now you'll see that I have this blade right here. This is a number 11 surgical blade, right? And you can see that's exactly what it says there, right? And I put this little thing on here so I can separate it from my regular X-Acto blade. Well, I got a Q-tip hung up on there. All right, this is a standard number 11 X-Acto blade. This will work. It'll do the job. But the reason I choose the surgical blade, okay, is because when you're trimming your bare metal foil, all right, you're going to be going right along a seam and trimming it, and you're also going along a painted surface. The extra sharp nature of this particular blade means that I don't have to press down when I'm trimming my bare metal foil, all right? I just let the weight of the blade kind of go along there, and it reduces the risk of marring up your paint or scratching it. So that's the reason I recommend the surgical blade over the standard number 11 blade. Now, if you only have a number 11 blade, it'll work, okay? It will certainly do the job. I just prefer the surgical blade for the reasons that I just explained. Okay, what else are you going to need? Well, I would suggest cotton swabs, okay? And I'm kind of bouncing them around here. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this is the door panel where I put the bare metal foil on in the deleted video. Okay, and I have another panel right there that we can demonstrate on for you right now. Before we get to that, let me just mention my sponsor. Okay, if you want to pick up any gallery products, airbrushes, equipment, or even Kaleido paint, you can go to their site. It should be in the descriptions on the video here, and I think it's also on my Facebook side as well. But if you put in PPMW, my discount code, you will get 10% off of everything. Okay, and I just got these Kaleido paints in just within the last few days. This is their primary colors right here. And I'm sorry about the glare. I haven't even opened it yet, so it's glaring off of the cellophane that's still on the box. And this is the primary colors right there. I'm anxious to try this out, and I will perhaps do this in another video. All right, so, and also, speaking of not opening things up, I've had this gallery airbrush sitting here for about a month. This is a 0.2 Mobius airbrush, and something like this, yeah, you'll get 10% off of that, and that's a pretty good deal. All right, so I'll tell you what, let me clear all this nonsense out of the way, and let's get down to working on that bare metal foil. All right, hang on. Okay, so I'm going to cut this right off of the sprue here. And for those of you who are brand new to the hobby, sprue simply means the parts tree, okay? The tree that the parts themselves are connected to, all right? It's called sprue, all right? And I know you more experienced guys are aware of that, but I was really addressing the beginners. You know where I got this from? Let me show you something while I'm standing here. Hold on one second. I got this on eBay. See this? It's called Revel Junkyard. I got a whole bag of parts here for $10. All right. So you can't beat that. eBay, Revel Junkyard. And there are other places on eBay where you can get a bag of parts like that. Just check out eBay and, kind of, navigate around that site and see what you can pick up. Okay, so here's our door panel. And these are Q-tips. Well, no, actually, this is a Q-tip, all right? These are Tamiya cotton swabs. And you can see, all right, has a little point. And this one is a smaller one, okay, with a point as well. But these are soft points, and that's important, all right? And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Another thing you can use is a toothpick, all right? And what you use these things for is burnishing down. Now, if you're brand new and you don't know what burnish means, burnish is simply a fancy word for rubbing in. So, for example, when you lay down your bare metal foil, you need to rub it in, all right? You see how I'm rubbing this? Well, that's also called burnishing. So burnishing is, again, just a fancy word for rubbing in. As I mentioned, you have a nice soft point on this cotton swab, all right? Now, on something like this where you have a seam, all right, you want to come in with a point like that and just kind of go along and press that into the seam. It's a soft point, as I said, so you're not going to do any damage. Where you may run into a problem, trying to pick this up, is if you use a toothpick. This point is a little sharper, all right? And if you do that with a toothpick, you may rip your bare metal foil. So what you can use a toothpick for is if you want to rub it in, okay, using the side, all right? Or even if you're doing a windshield, let me get this up here, all right? Right. So if you're doing a windshield, you can use the side and push it in, but I wouldn't use the point, okay? That's just my suggestion. I know some people do, and I just pulled the bumper off. Look at that. I just pulled the bumper off this. All right, that'll have to go back into the repair shop. So anyway, that's just my suggestion. Another thing that I use is an actual burnishing tool. And that is, here, I'll show you that. And I'm knocking the camera down. Hang on. Let me reposition this. Okay. Not wanting to stay. Okay, so this is a burnishing tool. Okay, I got this on Amazon. And it has a point, but it's a blunted point. Okay, so you can use that for going along a seam line and, it won't tear. I mean, again, if you come in there like a gorilla, sure, it'll tear it, but, you're not going to do that. All right. So it also has these recessed areas in here. So if you want to come in and just, push down an area like this, you can use this little recessed area in here to do that. And it also has a rounded point for doing the same thing. So this is a nice little tool. I don't remember what I paid for it, to be honest with you. But it was on Amazon, and I think it was relatively inexpensive. So that's just another thought. But you don't necessarily need to do something like that. The cotton swabs and a toothpick will work just fine. Okay, the other thing I will suggest is using a straight edge, all right? And as I demonstrated just a minute ago with the calipers, let me get all this stuff out of the way. Hang on one second. As I demonstrated with the calipers, you cut off, or you measure out rather, your piece, and then what I like to do, move this in a little bit better. Hang on, guys. I'm having camera mount problems. Hold on. Okay. Finally got that to stay. All right. So where we measure out our piece to be cut, what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll actually cut it using the straight edge. Okay. And I'll just go right along there. Okay. So let's get started and see if we can get some bare metal foil onto these window cranks. Okay. So let's start by taking that measurement. Okay. And there we go. All right. That looks like it's about, yeah. All right. That looks like it's exactly what we need right there. Okay. So that's what we need. And we're going to place this down. Okay. And remember, this is what we need right there. I'm going to go a little bit beyond that. Okay. And I'm going to make a little incision. I don't know if you can see that on camera. You probably can't, but I can. And then I'm going to take this out of the way. I'm going to come up with my straight edge, go back to that little incision that I made. Okay. And I'm going to press against the straight edge. All right. And now I'm ready to come in with my tweezers as I described to you just a minute ago. I'm going to close these up. I'm going to bulldoze this corner up here. All right. And then I'm going to just grab that corner that I bulldozed up. You see that? Okay. And I'm going to lift my piece right off. Did you see me rip that end? That's okay, because we cut more than what we need. Okay. And I'll place it down on my work mat and I'll straighten that out. Okay. And that's the piece that we're going to use on our door handle. Again, we don't, not door handle, but window crank. We don't have to concern ourselves with this area back here that's all crumpled up. All right. And as you can see, there's the piece. There's the window crank. All right. And the window crank, can you see? There it is. Maybe you can see that a little bit better. The window crank is much smaller than this piece right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera one more time and I'm going to bring it down so you can see this closer, because I just realized holding this down here, you can barely see that window crank. So I'm going to reposition the camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's our piece of bare metal foil, all right? And here is our window crank. Okay, I think you can see that okay. I'm trying to look at it on the camera. It looks like it's visible. I hope it's visible to you watching at home. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to put this just as squarely as I can right over that door crank, right? I'm going to press it in with my finger, right? Your finger can sometimes be your best burnishing tool, right? Can you see the outline of that door crank sticking right through the bare metal foil? All right. So I will press that in, and now I will take one of those cotton swabs that I showed you. Okay, I'm not going to use a burnishing tool because I know not everybody has a burnishing tool, so I will stick with some of the basics like a cotton swab. Now you can get these Tamiya swabs just about anywhere. Okay, Hobby Lobby. Most reliable hobby shops should have it. Worst case scenario, you can certainly get them on Amazon. All right. Okay, so I have that pressed in, and I'm going to try to hold this and keep my hand out of the way so you can see it. All right. And I'm just pressing the very base of that window crank. All right. I'm kind of dotting this and rubbing it and just working my way around. All right. Right at the base of that window crank. Now, I'm going to flip this around because as I was doing that, the tip became blunted and I just felt like I needed to switch it around. Okay, so I think I've got that pretty well in place. Can you see that? Okay. All right. Now, technically, you can say that this has been bare metal foiled, right? And it is. The job at hand now is removing the excess. So that is where your X-Acto knife is going to come into play. And as I mentioned a minute ago, let's see if I can make this a little bit closer. There we go. I think that's better. Now you can really see the outline of that bare metal foil on that window crank. So be patient with me, because I'll tell you something. I am behind the camera right now and I'm having to reach around it to do this. So be a little patient with me. I'm going to come right in here. Let me lower my visor so I can see what I'm doing. Seeing is a good thing. I always say that. Okay. And I'm going to put the edge of that blade, and I'm feeling my way along more than I'm actually looking. And I'm going to come right around. I'm going to turn my piece. Okay. And I'm taking my time. I'm not running through this too fast. All right. No reason not to take your time. Just go slowly. All right. Don't use a baseline of what you see some others do sometimes, where they just zip right through this real fast. All right. This, you have to go slowly. And I hope, and I just lost the focus on that. Why did that? Okay. You know what? I think it has to do with the lighting. See, when I put my hand up here, it goes out of focus, I think. All right. So I've got to try to keep my hand in a position so it's not screwing up the lighting, which is then screwing up the focus. And then also making sure that you can see all at the same time. Okay. Now, let me just say this. You see, I'm getting that first little bit off of there. Let me say this. As you're going around this with your blade, sometimes you'll run into something. It feels like something is like an obstruction or something like that. If you run into something where it feels like it's just not going, what you should do is go over it. Okay, just leave it and then come back to it later. Don't try to plow through it, because then you'll tear your bare metal foil. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm cutting away what from the incision that I just made when I went around. Okay. And I'll just clean my knife off. Okay. Occasionally, that's what I'm doing. I'm picking my knife blade up and I'm just cleaning the excess off. All right. Now, I want to show you something when we're all through with this. Let me get that back in frame. And I can't show it to you just now because it's out of frame. But you see, I'm just cutting that and then pulling it back. Okay. All right. Get that out of there. Okay. And if it doesn't want to come out, we'll go back to the tweezers and get that out of there. Okay. Basically, this door handle is done. Okay. This stubborn piece right here that does not want to come up will come back in with our tweezers and we'll just pick that out of there. Okay. And basically, that's very close to being done. Now, can you see some of these little shards that are hanging off here? Bring that back. Here and over here. There we go, right there. Okay, don't worry about that. All right, and the reason why you don't have to worry about it is because you can come back in with your knife. Get that off of there. All right, you can come back in with your knife and just trim that. All right. So this is why I'm saying take your time. There is no rush on this, especially when you're doing something as small as this. Okay, see how I'm cleaning up some of those shards? Okay, I'm doing something very, very bad when I go off camera with this blade. As I'm picking up the little pieces of bare metal foil, what I'm actually doing is I'm going off camera and I'm going on the side of the blade that does not that's not the sharp part, and just wiping off those little pieces of bare metal foil, which is not a smart thing to do, because you can very easily make a boo-boo and cut yourself. Okay, so this goes under the heading of do as I say and not as I do. Okay, and I've got a little tiny piece right in there. Okay, but basically that's it. Okay, again, these little pieces that are hanging off over here, we can come in and we can play with that and clean it up. All right, you just take your time with it. And that really is about all there is to bare metal foil. Okay, if you can do something as small as this, you can pretty much do anything. Now, what I have done in the past, you see these ribs in here? Let me see here. I'll grab this. You see these ribs that are right in this door panel here? I have put bare metal foil on that and made an effect with the bare metal foil on these ribs. I have done the door handles. One car, I think it was the Chrysler 300, there was a trim line coming right across the top, and I did that in bare metal foil. So this really just requires patience more than anything. And if you go slow, you have some patience, you can do stuff like that. Okay. And again, for those of you who are really into minute details, I understand as you're looking at this, there are some little pieces that are hanging off. Again, you can go back over that with your knife and just trim those off. Okay, but my basic idea for this video was to show you how to apply it, how to trim it. If I sit here and take the time to trim this up to be perfect, we'll be here for just a little bit. So, and I don't want to bore you, but that basically is it. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, give me a thumbs up. Well, it's an awfully big thumb. Let me reposition this. Okay, I think this is a little bit better instead of having you stare down at that work mat. So anyway, if you found this helpful, and I hope you did, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button. It takes 1 second, and it doesn't cost you anything. There's no obligation to anything. All it does is it ensures that you will continue to see me. So anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.